Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hello, Notables. This is Michael J. Maher, author of 7L, The 7 Levels of Communication, with the subtitle Go From Relationships to Referrals. And I am so excited to be bringing this interview to all of you. Today's interview with James Malinchak. James Malinchak is ABC's secret millionaire, something that some of you may not know. He's also one of my coaches and one of my favorite coaches, and has helped me learn a ton about not just delivering my message, but delivering my message about the generosity generation in such a way that people respond and they are loving the generosity generation. They're actually learning how to implement the strategies, and he has taught me how to share that message in such a way that it's helped more people. It's expanded my platform, and not only that, but James has helped make me a better person. And so with that, let's introduce Mr. James Malinchak. Thanks for being here today, buddy.
Hey, buddy. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Come on, the star of ABC's Secret Millionaire. That's like the perfect show for you, because it's all about generosity, and you're secretly behind the scenes, Mr. Basketball, and then out of the blue, you give them tens of thousands of dollars to help them pursue their dream with their nonprofit. I have to ask you first, what was that like? What was that show like? What was doing that show like?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I just totally admire and respect, love everything you do, the way you help folks, and it's an honor to be on here and maybe share a couple ideas that will help your great listeners. But for those who don't know, let me explain, Michael, first what the show's about, because a lot of people listening, from around the world may not have ever seen or heard of the show. In a nutshell, ABC Television picked me up out of my house, out of my environment, if you will, and took me into an impoverished neighborhood. I happened to be in Gary, Indiana, which at the time I believe was the number 2 murder capital in the U.S., if I'm not mistaken. And my mission was I had to live undercover, look for amazing, beautiful people who are making a difference in the lives of others, and they didn't know who I was. I was just volunteering for their organization. And then at the end of our time together, I go in as I'm about to exit town, and I reveal my identity and open up my checkbook and start writing them checks to further their mission. I ended up writing over $100,000 worth of checks to help these amazing groups, hence the term Secret Millionaire. So for anybody listening who didn't know what it was about, that's kind of the whole premise of the show. But to answer your question, man, it was just an amazing experience. I've been asked a lot, what was it like? How was it? And the only way I can explain it, I tell folks this, the greatest gift God ever gave me in my young life was when my sister Vicky was diagnosed with a brain tumor and was given about 3 months to live. I actually got to spend time with her and have closure and have brother and sister time before she passed away. And never in my life did I ever think that I would ever have something that ran close to that feeling or that gratefulness that I had. Being on Secret Millionaire and meeting these amazing, beautiful, I call them angels. They're not people, they're angels.
Yeah.
They're just serving to serve. It's the second greatest gift that I've ever received. The first will always be that time with Vicky and I together before she passed away. But that is the second greatest gift, because I met people who really sacrifice, who serve, who give, and who do it for no other reason than to just do it and help other people.
Wow, what a perspective, and thank you for sharing that. And honestly, I knew a little bit about that, but that takes it to the next level. And I have to say thank you for sharing that. And it's right. It's a beautiful show, and you're a beautiful man. That puts it into perspective so well. And I have to say, you've made a huge impact on me, and I had a lot of choices on quotes about handwritten notes and thank you notes, all the way from William Shakespeare to Jesus to tons of others. And one of them I just had to post. You've been the weekly featured expert on Notevember.com, and we featured you because you said that top achievers make it a top priority to write thank you notes. And I love that quote. And it's short, sweet, and I mean, top priority, top achievers says it all. So tell me a little bit about your experience with thank you notes. And just so the readers and the listeners here today know, I have 2 handwritten notes on my desk from Mr. James Malinchak, and one of them is being utilized today because you put, I don't know if you know this or not, but you put a Starbucks gift certificate in there, and that Starbucks card is being used right now by my assistant, who is at Starbucks buying me a large, skinny white chocolate mocha, just so you know that. That is a true story. It came in a handwritten note. So, I mean, come on. I mean, I've never gotten a handwritten note from Shakespeare. I did get a book from Jesus, but I never got a handwritten note from Jesus. So, but I have these handwritten notes from James Malinchak. So you preach it, you teach it, and guess what? You do it. So tell us about your handwritten note experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just amazed, honestly, Michael, as I look at people in business today, seriously, I'm amazed they're actually in business. Think about it. How hard is it to say thank you when someone, gives you thousands of dollars worth of business, or when someone, moves an account over to you, or, like what you all do in real estate, a lot of your folks, someone gives you a house listing. I mean, how hard is it to say thank you? Well, the problem is nobody does it. Nobody gives gift baskets. Nobody writes a simple little thank you note. I mean, it blows my mind. And they wonder why they struggle in business. And people are like, well, wait a minute. Really, thank you is like one of the keys? Yeah, let me tell you how I learned this. I don't know if I've ever actually even told you this, Michael. I played college basketball, so one of my goals was always to play for legendary UCLA basketball coach John Wooden. Legendary coach, the Wizard of Westwood. Now, Coach Wooden retired way before I had the opportunity to play for him, and honestly, I don't think I was good enough to ever play for him. And he had Lou Alcindor, a.k.a. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Bill Walton. I mean, he had the greatest players. But so then it became a goal of mine to actually meet him. And so I tried tapping every sports contact I have. Nobody knew him, know how to reach him. So one time I found somebody who actually got me in touch with him, and he invited me over to his house in Southern California to have lunch with him, which I thought was amazing. Like, really come to your house?
Wow.
And we sat there, Michael, for about 5 hours, and we just talked basketball. He taught me more about life than basketball. And it was one of the greatest. I mean, I've met a lot of people, as you have too, but sitting down with legendary coach John Wooden was one of the biggest thrills of my life. To me, he was an icon, a legend, great wisdom. And here's the teaching point. The next day, in my mailbox, I got a thank you note from Coach Wooden, thanking me for spending that time with him and letting him tell basketball stories. And I had to shake my head when I got it, because, whoa, wait a minute, what?
I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills from you just telling the story. I can't imagine what you had running through your body when you got that note. Wow.
Oh, it blew my mind. I was like, and that's how I learned some, 15 years ago in business that, you got to get in the habit of writing notes. If legendary UCLA coach John Wooden, who is probably one of the most famous people on the planet, most respected coach of any sport, I mean, literally, you got to understand, coaches would fly in from around the world to spend time learning coaching from him, not just basketball, rugby coaches, soccer coaches from over, in the UK, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, this guy's probably super busy, and yet he thought enough of some little no-name kid to send him a thank you note. And that's how I learned the power. And by the way, here we are 15 years later, and I just told you the story.
Yes. And that's part of the legacy and the legend of John Wooden. And so, and you think about it, so busy, so powerful, and all these different things, and he writes you a handwritten note. Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you still have that handwritten note?
Oh, do I have the handwritten note? I've got it framed.
You framed a handwritten note, right? And who wouldn't do that? I would do that. And so, but think about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the power of it. I mean, and the thing is people. We have people in our coaching program and in our Boost program, two separate people who have had a handwritten note for 43 years. They have kept the same handwritten note for 43 years. Could you imagine a marketing piece going out of your office that they kept for 43 years, or they framed, like you framed John Wood? I mean, there isn't a better example of the John Wood brand than the handwritten note that you have framed in your office, right?
Absolutely. And let me tell you this, if anybody ever came to my house, I just had this room across from my office. I work out of my house, redone with some nice cabinets and et cetera, et cetera. But prior to doing this, I call it my appreciation room, and I just haven't put everything back out yet and framed the photos and hung up all the pictures, all that stuff, because I had it really kind of decked out a little bit. And so just take your time. We'll get to it in a couple weeks. But you come to my house, you will see thousands and thousands of thank you notes that I've received from people I do business with, people that I just help, charities that I've done stuff, and I save every one of those notes. So if you come to my house, you'll see thousands of them. And you know why I save those notes? Because those are the 3%ers, the 1%ers, the people who get it. Those who do business and don't send notes are the ones that don't get it, and that's why they'll always be mediocre and average. It's W. Clement Stone said, "Little hinges swing big doors."
Wow.
And there's that old line, little things mean a lot, right? You heard that line?
Yeah.
That is a bunch of BS. Little things don't mean a lot. Little things mean everything. Wow.
And that is so true. It's so funny what you just said. First of all, how many listeners need to create an appreciation room in their house? And for that matter, how many of them need to create an appreciation wall? Because one of the things that I've seen that a lot of my coaching clients and people that I know don't do enough of is celebrate. Celebrate their successes and celebrate when others are appreciative of them. So having that daily reminder of the value that they're providing the world is what everybody should do. So thank you for sharing that. I have an appreciation wall in my office, and what 90%. I'm looking at it right now. 90% of it is handwritten notes that are on this wall. And that's, you hit it on the head. And the other part, too, is think about how powerful this is. What you're saying is I can be a representative of the top 3% in my industry. I can differentiate myself in 5 seconds, in less than 5 minutes. I can be different than everybody else and spend less than $5 doing it. I can write a handwritten note and send it to someone, and it instantly tells that recipient that I'm different, that I'm better, that I am a top producer without you saying it. It's more important what they think than what I say. But by writing a handwritten note and getting it to the other person, what you're really saying is that I am different, and you know what? I'm going to put the thought and effort into a handwritten note to you because you're different and I listened. That is so powerful.
That is, it is right on the button there. It's so. I said this. I was having Joe Theismann, who's a legendary NFL quarterback from the Washington Redskins. He's on TV. He was just at my house. He's a commentator. He was just at my house last week because I'm doing his book for him, and I'm doing a whole video DVD program, doing all of his audio programs for him, helping him write his whole book. One of the reasons is because, he wants to get this information out, but the other reason is because I wanted to do it to help him leave a lasting legacy. I mean, the man is so magnificent, such a successful business person, such a top achiever, knows everybody on the planet, and has such great wisdom. And I wanted to capture that for him so he had something for his grandchildren. That was my reason for wanting to do it. He's been a friend for about 20, 25 years. So he was here at my house, and we were doing this video thing. He was recording, and, you know, like 3 days later, I got a thank you note in the mail from him.
Wow.
This is Joe Theismann.
Yeah.
So here's my point for saying it. If Joe Theismann, who's super busy, if John Wooden, if Michael Maher, if James Malinchak can send notes, then why can't anybody who's in business who's not even remotely as busy as we are?
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that the truth? I never put it that way. I've never put it that way. But isn't that interesting is that the most successful people who have the least amount of time are the ones who are writing the handwritten notes. They're taking the time. What's the dollar productiveness of John Wooden? What's his dollar per hour? What's Joe Theismann? He probably wrote that on an airplane somewhere. That guy is so busy. And the same with you and same with me is we're super busy, and we still find it valuable enough to write a handwritten note because, the bottom line is how great the person who receives it feels, and it's so powerful.
Well,
let me read you something. I was just going
to add in, I was telling Joe when he was here, I said, Joe, if you look at the average person in business today, you realize it's just not that hard to be successful. You just do everything they don't do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it.
It's that easy.
He's like, that was a good point. And Michael, let me just share this with you. I have over 700 people registered for my next Big Money Speaker Boot Camp. For those who don't know, I teach people how to become speakers, authors, trainers, coaches, consultants. Okay, so I have over 700 people registered. And you know, Michael, that every one of these 700 are getting handwritten notes. I've already sent out over 500 thank you notes, and they haven't even come to the boot camp yet.
Wow. What a model. What a model. What a thought. I mean, if they're going to get it, they're going to go, right? How appreciative. You're appreciative and you're showing it.
Well, because I had first of all, you're right. I mean, I see them like putting the notes, they're taking pictures of the notes, putting them all over Facebook. One guy said, I've been going to seminars for 20 years. I have never in my life gotten a handwritten thank you note from the guy I actually paid money to go see, and it's his, it's his handwriting. People come up to me at my boot camps, Michael, and they say, here, they give me a napkin. They say, write your name. I'm like, what? They're like, sign your first name. And I'm like, okay, I have no idea what they're doing. And I sign it, and they put the thank you note down next to it. They go, God darn, you did write me this note. I thought it was a staff person.
Oh, wow.
And I had a guy at my boot camp, the last one, say this, and this is a great teaching point. He says, I can't believe you waste all that time sending those notes. I'm like, buddy, you are a BAF if you think that way. He's like, what? I said, you're a BAF, a BAF. He said, what's that? I said, you're a broke-ass folk. I said, what else should I be doing other than thanking my customers who give me money? Think about that.
Yeah. It's the best use of your time. How about that? So how do they find out more information on your boot camp? And by the way, it's 95% that I'm going to be there as well, and I'm really looking forward to it. I gained something. This will probably be my third or fourth boot camp just in the last 2 years, and it's not just because I'm a slow learner. It's also it's also because I get something every single time. So for you slow learners out there, and also those that are learning-based and education-based and want to learn how to share your message in a better way, how do they find out more about that, James?
Oh, well, thank you. There's two websites, real simple. It's www.bigmoneyspeaker.com. That's bigmoneyspeaker.com, or www.bigmoneyspeakerbootcamp.com.
So bigmoneyspeaker.com, and then also bigmoneyspeakerbootcamp.com. Everybody that's listening to this should definitely check it out. Learn how to share your message and learn how to do it in such a way that you can build a business around it. And I definitely recommend it, and not only recommend it, but attend it. So John Osseroff is he was featured in the Secret, and he's written a book called The Answer, and I'm going to read from it here in a second. And also sounds like you and I are going to have dinner at his house that was actually featured in The Secret as well in January or February of the next year. So looking forward to that. And here's what he wrote. It's just the power of a handwritten note. Is I fly frequently in my work, and I always make a point of meeting the person next to me and learning something about him or her. When I get home, I always send a handwritten note thanking them for their time and conversation. Well, recently, I sat next to the Vice President of Sales for a Fortune 500 company. We talked about sales in general and about The Answer, and I wrote him my usual note. 2 weeks later, he called, and we talked more about my work. After a few conversations, I signed a contract for multiple speaking engagements with his company. Over dinner at the first of these events, he told me that he had called because he was intrigued by my ideas, but mostly because he was impressed that I had written him the note. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars in business from that, and this was actually before he was even featured on The Secret. So it's the difference, it's the little things that make all the difference, and it's so true. And I want to express my appreciation once again, James, for having you here on today and adding this bonus interview for the notables who are participating in Notevember.com and Notevember, and 30 notes in 30 days. And we've got people over 100 notes already in the month, and the community has already donated a significant amount of money to the Notes for Coats, helping the homeless and the needy with getting coats and also getting winter gear. Focusing with the epicenter of the giving right now of being in Fort Collins and Lyons County, Colorado, because not only did they have a tremendous flood that wiped most of certain parts of the city out, but they also had forest fires. So they had two whammies this year. So we're starting there, but we're giving all across the United States and Canada. And then thank you, notables. Thank you for doing what you're doing and participating in November at such a high level. And James, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Truly, thank you for coming on, spending your very valuable time here with us today, and for sharing your heart with us.
Oh, man, Michael, you kidding me? I'd do anything for you and Sherry and the whole Michael Maher team, and it's an honor. I appreciate when you asked me a week ago or so ago to have, do this interview. I'm like, absolutely, man, I love this stuff. And if something I said inspired someone or maybe irritated them in a way to get them moving, then our time together was well spent.
Thank you so much. And you are such a great example of the generosity generation. And I hope every single person here at least considers going to the Big Money Speaker Boot Camp, and you'll see me there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
Well, everybody, that was ABC's secret millionaire, James Malinchak, sharing not only his wisdom, but a part of his heart with each and every one of us today. I hope you take it to heart, and it inspires you to write at least one more handwritten note, sending a wave of appreciation out to at least one more recipient who will get that and love on it. And while you're doing it, you're contributing to a great cause. Notables, we'll see you next time.